Well, the Boys and Girls Club of San Francisco just got a $2.5 million donation. Joining me now is Dan Springer, CEO of DocuSign, based here in San Francisco. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon,
Thank you for having me.
Dan. Yeah. So this donation, $2 million to the Boys and Girls Club in San Francisco. But we're not just talking about this donation today. There's actually a message attached to the giving that you're giving out there.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I think this is really fundamentally about income inequality, an issue that's really facing our whole country, of course, and it's become part of the political issue we've seen in this, election that's coming up. But particularly in the Bay Area and for the tech community, there's a lot of frustration around how we're making San Francisco and the whole Bay Area less affordable as we're creating wonderful jobs, but not evenly distributed. And so my construct was there's a lot of executives that work at tech companies that already have enough equity to be motivated to support their companies. So we want to say to our employees and our investors, we have enough. Let's take all of the incremental equity that we would get every year and give that to support organizations in our communities, like the Boys and Girls Club.
That's interesting. Back up just a little bit here, because we do talk a lot about affordable housing and the cost of rent here. And a lot of people do say it's because of the tech industry that's just booming here in the Bay Area, and that's driving up the costs. So you said that there's some guilt in the tech industry, though.
Yeah, I think we feel it. We feel the sense that traditionally, the tech industry, we thought we were changing the world. We were making the world a better place with our products and technologies. And now we have the phenomenon where people are saying, but are you doing great for your community? And I think that's where that angst comes in right now. And I think if you take a look at the other people that live in our cities, about the school teachers, the firefighters, the folks that are in the service industries that are making it attractive to live here for people in the tech industry, they're not getting the same support, and that's where I think there's an opportunity.
And so what's your message to those in the tech world, or those who are making more than six figures?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's sort of enough is enough, and once you feel you have enough sort of equity to be motivated to drive your organization, and when I joined DocuSign, I was given a significant amount of equity, and fortunately, we went public a couple of years ago. Our stock's gone up quite a bit, so that turned into more and more equity. But each year, as a public company CEO, I get a significant additional grant. And so what I've decided to do is just take all of that additional grant each year and give that to the organizations that will support the broader community.
So do you think that the tech industry, and we're just going to talk about the tech industry because that's what you're part of, but do you think that the tech industry can give more, or do you think that they are giving and there's just not a lot of attention on that?
I mean, I think there are definitely examples with people who are trying to support, the communities. I think a lot of the giving has been longer term. So you see people talking about concepts like, I'm making a commitment over time to give money, or I'm putting in a donor-advised fund that will eventually give the money. And I think we have a giving gap right now. And that's why we have this construct of people saying, we're not getting enough today to support the organizations. So long-term commitments are great, but I'm trying to push a mindset of saying, why don't we just do it now and take the incremental economics you get and put that all into the local communities.
And so how did you pick the Boys and Girls Club? How do people pick which organization that they want to donate to?
I'm a big believer you should know well where you're using your philanthropic dollars. It turns out one of my sons was a volunteer for all through high school at the Boys and Girls Club before he went to college. I ended up then joining the trustees of the Boys and Girls Club because I was impressed by what Robert was doing there. And as I got to know them better, we saw this opportunity in Sunnydale, which is one of the least well-supported communities in San Francisco. And there was an opportunity to, we think, transform it a little bit with a new clubhouse.
All right. And so for those out there watching who may not have, the six figures, or just kind of barely are making the six figures, can they also donate as well? Do you see them being able to donate as well?
I think there's two things people can do generally, to your point. One is time is sometimes the most important thing to give. And so if you don't have a lot of excess capital, figuring out the organizations in the community that you're excited about and motivated to put your time into is fabulous. Boys and Girls Club's a great example where people in the community come together and support them. The other thing I think you can do is you can talk about pressuring. So if you work at a company, and you see this example and you say, you know what, I'd like the CEO of my company to do that too, I'd say have them come talk to Dan. I'd be happy to chat with them and talk about the other organizations that we could use in the city for their support.
And it's all about paying it forward too, right?
Absolutely right. That's what we're trying to achieve.
All right. Any other messages that you want to send to our viewers?
I mean, the last thing I would just say about it is I do think the construct of it's not that people in the tech industry are not caring. We're just not figuring out how to get the resources quickly allocated into the most needy organizations in our communities. And so hopefully people will take that as an opportunity to say, how can I close that gap today? and that's what I push for.
Hopefully somebody is listening to you here and finds some motivation in your donation and the words that you've given today. Thank you so much. Thank you again for joining.